Welcome to BlackUSA.news morning show. I'm your host, William Honolulu Jr. Join us as we explore the news and opinions that impact our community. We break down how the major stories have a very personal, local, and racial impact. No topic is off limits, but even if the conversation gets rough, we're always going to keep it real.
Greetings and salutation to all my people out there in internet land. I am William Honolulu Jr., and I have the honor and privilege of serving as the host of the BlackUSA.news morning show. We are having a great time here on the show. I'm sorry, see what happened is, I tell y'all everything that goes on. I've had a wonderful time talking to one of my bestest friends in all of the world before I jumped on here to talk to y'all. So I'm still on the high from that. But y'all going to get to meet her again. She's been here before, but y'all going to get to meet her again. We're going to talk about that in a little bit. But happy March 10th, Thursday, March 10th, 2022. Happy 10th day of Women's History Month. National Women and Girls HIV/AIDS Awareness Day. HIV/AIDS is still a condition that disproportionately impacts the Black community, particularly Black women and girls. A lot of that has to do with the same type of sexual risk and behaviors that we aren't dealing with right now. We don't do comprehensive sex education. We don't support them. We don't support girls or boys with access to affordable health care and reproductive health. So it's a really good opportunity to take a chance today to talk to somebody about HIV/AIDS. Ask them, do they know their status? It doesn't take much. Make sure that the next time you're at the doctor, just make sure you get that test. It doesn't hurt anything. And early detection can save your life. There's no morality around it. It's a disease. So make sure you go ahead and get yourself tested to celebrate National Women and Girls HIV/AIDS Awareness Day. Also, big ups, today is Harriet Tubman Day. I think that's really cool. I didn't realize there was a Harriet Tubman Day. I'm really grateful to celebrate it, especially as we do our month of Black women. That's really cool. Big ups to the super producer, Kyle Crazy Horse Morgan, for all that he does, making sure that we stay on top of the news, stay on top of technology. And he does a really good job to keep me from having technical difficulties. But, I start pressing stuff and I was like, ooh, what does this do? I was like, oh, you know what? I'm going to try this new feature. And then it sometimes it doesn't work out well. But I appreciate the fact that he sticks with me and we keep it moving. Big piece of news. The Emmett Till Anti-Lynching Act was passed on March 7th unanimously in the U.S. Senate. It's important because it elevates those types of crimes like lynching and these hate crimes to a higher level with more enhanced sentences and penalties. This is a really big victory, and I don't want to take anything away from it. I want us to celebrate. But as we celebrate, make sure we're still gathering resources for the next stages. Because as this is passed, I want to make sure I'm looking at my show notes. See, look at this. I'm looking at my show notes. I learn. We have to not just make sure that the law gets passed, one, and then make sure Biden signs it quickly. Then we have to make sure that the regulations that they promulgate and the policies about how to implement this, we need to be part of that conversation. And then when they decide how to train law enforcement and prosecutors on how to go after these types of criminals, we need to be part of that conversation. And then when they actually do, we need to make sure that we're in a position to hold them accountable and make whatever changes to the laws and regulations that need to happen. Let us celebrate this, but make sure that we know that this is not the end of the journey. This is real close to the beginning. It's a huge hurdle. And sadly, we've been trying to get over this hurdle for almost 200 years. That's a whole other thing. One of the things I also want to point out is the name on the bill. It is the Emmett Till bill. For those of you all who don't know, Emmett Till was a 14-year-old boy, Black boy from Chicago, who was murdered in Mississippi because he allegedly whistled at a white girl. They found him, like, and when you hear the story about how his uncle pleaded, could you just go and beat him good? Because he knew what was going to happen. Now, let me not get it twisted, that he wasn't the only person that happened to. The difference in his story was that Mamie Elizabeth Till Mobley, she told them to have an open casket. She wanted the world to see what they did to her son. I can't imagine what it's like to see my child like that, let alone have the strength of conviction, the courage to have that be the image that will be that you will be remembered for, an image that I will have to see. And this is the type of courage that Black women bring to the table. In the midst of unfathomable loss, she had the presence of mind and the clarity to say that there is an opportunity to use this tragedy for something bigger than me. And that's one of the reasons we do what we do. And that's one of the reasons that this month of Black women, so that we can learn what these stories are like. Hopefully, other Black women won't have to experience this. But each one of these stories adds to the fabric of our consciousness and gives us an opportunity to have greater empathy in our common struggle. So I just wanted to update you on that. Make sure you all hit the White House up and let them know they need to jump on signing it. I don't understand why Joe Biden's pen ain't on fire already. That should have burned across that. You know how, like, when you get excited and sign something, you leave a scratch across the tear? I want to see a little tear mark on that because he was so excited to sign it. Because we deserve at least that. So, continue to talk about Black women and Black excellence. We as the BlackUSA.news network, our show, The Blackout Live, on Saturday. It's going to showcase these two wonderful business owners. One of them is 8, the other is 6. Like, I'm not joking. When I tell you these girls come to the table and they spit facts about who their target customers are, how much money they make, their inventory controls, their marketing systems and stuff like that. Oh, you all are in for a treat. Yeah, we celebrate the Black excellence up in here. So yeah, make sure you check out the show on Saturday and support these girls. Good business. Yesterday, show we had with Lillette Williams, one of my oldest and dearest friends. She was really helpful in getting us to understand kind of the regional differences, or some of the regional differences, in how Black women are treated and engaged. I never really thought about it from that point. Another thing that she really talked about, and really we had an opportunity to delve deep into it, was how her sorority life, she's a member of Zeta Phi Beta, how that has shaped her identity as a Black woman and her opportunities. So it was a great show. And if you missed it, go ahead and back and check it out. You can just click on that one after this one. It's going to be cool. It's going to be cool. Well, all right. So, but today we get an opportunity to bring another dope Black woman to you. I told you, I know dope Black women. And this is one of my bestest friends ever. But for those of you all who don't know about our month of Black women, let me hip you to it.
Dear Shanae and Simone, as you move through life as Black women, you will have a very unique experience. In many cases, you will be asked or expected to serve in roles that weren't clearly explained, nor did you really agree to. Over the course of my life, I have met some amazing women who have navigated some of the spaces that you will encounter. I want my village to share with you their stories of trials and successes to help provide a foundation to understand your power to choose the woman that you will become and the strength that you can find in your sisters. This series of shows is my gift to you. The women you will hear from are phenomenal. They come from different backgrounds and have chosen different paths for their lives. Each represents a facet of the Black woman experience. Some of the stories may not align with your journey directly, but those stories are even more important. By listening closely, you can learn about uncommon experiences and find ways to support your sisters along your shared journey. I love you all so much, and I hope to see you soon.
So that's why we're doing the month of Black women. We want to make sure that the stories of these amazing, incredible Black women are told and archived, and selfishly, in furtherance of help for my goddaughters. Today, this day, I get to bring to you again one of my best friends, Michele Holcombe. Hey, honey!
I love you so much. Hi.
I love you too. So, you've been here before. You're not a stranger.
I'm not.
But some of the audience may not have been here the last time you were here. So tell them a little bit about you, and then we'll jump into being a Black woman.
Sure. Well, I'm from over west. Junction. From the junction. Yeah, so I got put out of Western in 10th grade. I feel like I need to start all the way back there.
So let's make sure, because some of our people aren't from Baltimore. We got people from Tampa. We got people from Atlanta, Oakland.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So you Baltimore, you represent West Side Baltimore, over by the junction.
Over by the junction, because for our viewers who don't know, Baltimore is split up in only East and West. There's no.
You're going to leave South Baltimore out?
I mean, it is.
Stop it. You got to give South Baltimore love.
They usually rep East Baltimore.
Some yeah, it depends on where. Okay. Or just Cherry Hill.
Right. Which is a whole different animal. That's a whole different thing. So that being said, and just in the spirit of authenticity, and just to give you a timeline of my journey, since we're talking about being a Black woman, here it is. I'm gonna lay it all out. So I got put out of Western, which is a premier high school, 1980. It's been around for at least 150 years. Western was and still is an all-girls high school. I think it's the singular, or maybe one other public high school for all girls in the nation. So they're holding on to some amazing legacy. So it was a big deal for me to get there, and it was an even huger deal for me to get put out. That's for sure. But I went on to Walbrook High School, now defunct, now known as Cobb Cava. It is it looks like a prison. You know, if I had some foresight back then, I would have,
hey, wait a minute,
known what was coming. I said, ooh, this is a thing. It was subpar education. I was ill prepared to go to Frostburg State University, which they gleefully accepted me. And then, of course, I signed up for the party scholarship, and that runs out in exactly 2.5 years. And I was right on time with that graduation and found myself entering the workforce. Now, because, these are iterations in life that are really important, that changed me as a Black woman. It made me start to, find my path. So getting put out of all girls school, which I would have been the first one. My sister went on to graduate from there. It is what it is. So at least I blazed the trail. She found her way. So my job is done here. But I went to Frostburg. I was ill prepared, and the party scholarship ran out, and I found myself working. And I started working in with the city paper, which is another thing that's now defunct. I wonder how that makes me really old. I'm really old. But that's just the experiences, and that's what I'm really kind of talking about. I got put out of Frostburg, like I said, working for the city paper. I started to meet all kind of people, really started to fall in love with the city. When I was trying to escape it initially, working in a sales position, I got to literally introduce myself to business owners, get to understand what the ecosystem looks like in the city. And that really kind of piqued my interest. And that really was the beginning because I didn't finish school until fairly recently. It's never too late. That piqued my interest in, what it means to be a Baltimorean, what this lifestyle is here, and how I have an impact on it. So, Did I also mention the correctional officer part? 12 long years. I tried to delete that part. That also had a distinct impact on who I am as a woman, and a lot of things. And
I appreciate the introduction. I like every time I hear you tell your story, like, yeah, I remember that part. So I'm gonna start you off the same way we start everybody else off.
Yes.
Okay. Jeff Bezos and them have been shooting rockets up in the sky, and aliens have said, like, what's going on over there at Earth? So they fly over and it's like, oh, there's like 7 billion of these people. They all come in different shapes, colors, genders. Hey, some of them are Black and women. Michelle, you're one of these Black women. I have no reference point on Earth. Explain to me or describe to me, what is it like to be a Black woman?
Well, here's the thing, Mr. Alien Friend. And first of all, I'm going to apologize that I didn't really give myself an introduction. I just started talking about the question because we already knew. It's okay. I'm a school counselor. I'm from here. Y'all get it. But yeah, I would say, Mr. Alien, well, Black women are not a monolith. I mean, and I think that we as Black women are starting to really embrace that. I know that I am, so I can talk about who I am, but I certainly am going to honor every other woman out here and her journey and whatever she decides to do with herself, because that's her business. So if you want to talk about my journey, I can give you some overviews. We can talk about that, Mr. Alien. But, what does it mean as a singular thing? I can't speak for, my sisters in other places or whom I'm not close to.
So he said something like, blah, 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 blah. And that was like, thank you very much. I really appreciate that distinction. So tell us from your perspective, how has it been to be a Black woman?
How has it been from my perspective to be a Black woman here in Baltimore, which is by and far the best city in the United States of America? I'm going to keep plugging my city because I don't know about y'all if anybody's watched the news lately. There is strength in numbers, and we are cozy right here in Baltimore City. But how's it been for me? It's a burden, one that it was difficult to accept, but one that I readily accept because we've been through so much over through the years. Baltimore has proven to be difficult to find a mate, but it's a great place to start a business.
You said to meet?
To mate, to find
to find a mate, okay.
For me, because I'm an educated, Black woman, and some men, I'm not going to say all, have some problems with that here in this city, even still to this day, simply because it's so many of us that are out here making moves, and they just like, and I'm just like, and then here we are.
Okay.
So am I answering the question? I know I'm all over.
Yeah, you are. I appreciate it.
It's a thing. It's a thing.
You're one of the first people to actually bring up the difficulty. Well, not the last person that brought it up was Jennifer Hubbard. Jennifer. She was here a couple of days ago. And what she was talking about was that how her dating relationships and things like that were interrupted because she made poor decisions, because she didn't have her father there to kind of guide her decision making, and some things that you hope your dad would have been like, yo, this is a red flag, be careful of that. She didn't have that. So she feels like she kind of ran into these guys and got kind of bamboozled.
Sure.
You talked about the lack of available mates. That sounds like that's on the front end of her experience. Mm-hmm. So do you want to talk a little bit about like what is the dearth of mate? Like, why is there so shallow? Because a lot of people will say it's because y'all are too choosy, y'all trying to do them.
Supposed to be, just like you should be.
No, go ahead and talk about that piece.
Yeah, I mean, if you hold yourself in high regard, it's completely reasonable to, be choosy. I mean, I would be concerned if you weren't. When you pick your fruit. I mean, Erykah Badu wrote a whole song about it. Pick your friends like you pick your fruit. That's a thing. So, yeah, I think that here in this city, probably, William, tell me the question again. It boggles my mind.
I understand. But I was trying to find out, as you are navigating through this space looking for a mate, right? Mm-hmm. What has been your experience? Like, what has been is it that there are not enough dudes, just not the right type of dudes? Because there's a difference between, to me at least, there would be a difference is like, there is, one dude to every 70 women. That's different than only one decent dude for every 70 women, but like 50 dudes, you know what I mean? the math doesn't work out well. But how about this? Let me make it clear, because I realize I am trying to explain a question that I am confused about myself.
Thank you.
Let's make it simple.
I appreciate you, sir.
What has been the difficulty finding a mate?
Someone who is on par with me.
Mm-hmm.
It's just the bottom line. I mean, someone that's on par with me. I'm not saying it's impossible, but if we can get through the, okay, I find you mentally stimulating and you're physically attractive and you're not married and you're not a, serial killer and all of those things. And then we can get it down to the next level. Is there a connection? Now, chances more likely than not there isn't, because that's a numbers game, real talk, or just a time game. So then that checks off the box of not enough men, because I don't have enough to run to really do that. They're truly available. And then so even if there is a connection, you have to really be careful about that connection, because people will play the long game. And
when you say play the long game, what kind of thing?
Game. People, you have to be careful about people's intentions, and especially with new people, especially as an older woman. I mean, that's a real thing. Some men will. I mean, there's just a myriad of cautionary instances that you have to be aware of. So the older, I've gotten, speaking from my own experience, just that little cup of available men is it doesn't exist at this point here. And I'm not even out here, trying to find it at this point. I'm extremely busy being myself all day. So I just don't have anything else to do.
So, but I have heard other women talk about this availability from the direction you talked about. Not men make themselves available to you, but they make themselves available to you and other people.
Oh, without question. I mean, I think it's unrealistic at this time to assume or even expect monogamy. Okay. And I'm fine with that. That's a wonderful thing. I mean, I think it's unreasonable.
Okay.
Really, in nature, for human beings, you can have times of monogamy, but forever monogamy, I think you're doing yourself a disservice to the human experience.
Okay. So when understanding that as the context, there still is this other level of the not expecting monogamy, but a level of engagement or honesty or exclusivity or something that makes that particular that relationship special. Is there a lot of opportunities to find those small special relationships, or is it still in there's not enough to go around?
No, because men at this age, even on, I've been on dating apps and, men at this age are literally trying to hook up. They're divorced, their kids, are grown. I get it, but they're still out here trying to hook up because and that's gross. But
not trying to deal in like regular relationships or trying to build something, even without the issue around monogamy.
Right. So no, everybody's like, nah, I'm just looking, for some chill fun. Okay. I mean, and there are some men that are like, so you interested in getting married this evening? And then, no, thank you. You run across those too.
One or the other.
It is. It's a lot of that. It is. Okay. Yeah. And there's a lot of aggression out there too. It's not entitlement.
Oh, what do you mean by that?
I mean, because I think men understand that that they're a commodity to an extent, and that talking to friends who are women who are dealing with married men, and the married men will insist on certain things, and when they have a whole wife and family at home, and these women are, they tolerate that for the sake of partnership or whatever it is that motivates them. I don't know anything about that, but I think it's unfortunate that that's where some sisters find their way.
Okay.
Sorry.
Let's I know I don't want to make this a dating show because big ups to
I'm like over here like
Big up to Climbing Out 8:30 Sunday nights with Erica Alston Buck. She talks, and Tina, they talk about relationships. That's their thing. I am not healed enough to effectively have a conversation about relationships on air. My therapist advises against that.
Thank you.
So
Appreciate it. Moving on. Let's talk about the hypertension in the Black community, disparity in pay. You know.
Well, no, I want to talk. I know for you, Blackness is a big deal.
Yeah.
And like, and not just in a general, like, yeah, pro-Black, I'm black and I'm proud, but like, you invest when you spend money, you try to make sure you spend it with Black organizations, particularly Black women creatives.
Yes.
And you make this a deliberate part. Every time you get ready to talk to somebody, when you realize that you're in a national audience, just like you did today, rep Baltimore.
I love it.
And not just Baltimore, but Black Baltimore.
Yeah.
What drives you to do that?
Because Baltimore is the best. We are fly. You can go anywhere in this country and you can see the extra flavor that Baltimore has. It's just it's just a flavorful city. When people ask me, you know, why do I love my city so much, just like you did, I say because if I try, and not too hard, I don't have to try real hard, I can go all day and see all Black people. Just like I like it. I can spend my money. I can eat. I can be entertained. I can get my hair done. I can do whatever I need to do, all with Black people. That's a wonderful feeling, you know. And I have choices. It's not like, oh, you know, he the only one. No, you know, there's options. Baltimore, we have options, and I love that I work in a building where it's mainly people that look like me. It just makes the familiarity. I mean, it's just comfortable. Not to say that I wouldn't and haven't worked around other people, but who wouldn't want to be around your people all the time? I like it.
That makes sense. And I think that also leads a lot your connection to Baltimore and really looking at it, because I remember when you used to work at the city paper, like you were really engaged in trying to promote the city. I personally, when I first met you, I thought it was because you was just trying to get sales all the time. But like, as I got to, but it wasn't just that though. Because when you stopped working there, you were still talking the same stuff. I was like, wait a minute, she still believes this? And your genuineness causes you to engage the city, particularly the youth of the city. Talk a little bit about the work that you've done with like your volunteer and your service and your engagement with the community.
Well, at this point in my life, my volunteer and my work life are now one thing. As a school counselor, of course, that all I do is talk about how amazing the city is and how amazing this world is, to be a human being. So, but yeah, Baltimore is such rich history for Black people. There were free Black people here, of course, working at the Urban League. That was such an amazing place to work, just to physically be in that building on a daily basis, to know what transpired there, and to only imagine what transpired there as well. I mean, that was moved me to my core every day. And I would take offense when people would walk in and say, "Where's the train?" Okay.
Wait, so some of them might not understand what you're talking about. So tell them about the historic Orchard Street Church.
Yes, the historic Orchard Street Church. What is it, 1812? Is it
12 or 19? I can't remember.
12,
early 1800s.
Very early 1800s. Was hand built by freed and enslaved Black people that look just like you and I. It was a place of safe refuge. There was a place in the bottom where you can still visit to this very day, where people would hide when the others would come and raid, looking for them. So, just imagine the plans and the dreams that were had there. The beautiful, beautiful open space, the church area upstairs, this magnificent ornate stained glass window, the wood. I mean, just to feel, just to be in there. The history and the songs that were sung and the words that were spoken. How can I not be excited, about that?
And one of the things that was funny is that when people found out that it was a stop along the Underground Railroad, that they did not understand the Underground Railroad. And we literally had people that would come there and ask to see the train. Where the train went through.
Yeah.
Because, and this is, so let's talk a little bit about the education of Black children. One of the big things that's been happening nationally is that conservatives have taken over the concept of CRT, critical race theory, and have made this into an attack on things that make white people feel uncomfortable, particularly by conservative men. So that is now critical race theory, and all things around race that make white men feel uncomfortable need to be banned from the curricula from now and all time. And you spend a lot of time really pouring into Black and brown kids and using that example of a part of this person's history, the Underground Railroad, because they were part of this. It's part of their history, and they are so detached from it that they're literally looking for a train. How have you fought back against those types of things?
Well, by talking to people, when I always try to drop gems on children, at any time. And if they have any questions, or I'll ask them, do you know what I'm speaking of? Every opportunity, any conversation is an opportunity to learn or to teach. So especially with the children, I can't really blame them. Okay. I'm going to blame parents. I'm going to blame the two adults who decided to have a child and who are not feeding them. When I say feeding them, I'm not just talking about food. I'm not just talking about water. They're not feeding them to turn them into better versions of even themselves. And so here we are. The piper is expecting this payment. So the children don't know because the parents don't know. And I don't understand how at a certain point in your life you are more curious.
Well, actually, let's talk about that, because you and I have talked about the social dynamic and the training of children. Some of the reasons that we especially in the educational system, we quell curiosity out of kids. Kids come to the table curious, and if they get it wrong, oh, that's wrong, you get an F, red marker, and all of these things. That what we teach them is to be more compliant. We teach them how, if there's an arbitrary rule, follow it so you don't have to get in trouble. The system is designed to teach them that if your teacher forgets your report, just be nice to her and she'll change your grade. And the system is designed to teach them to be good employees, to be honest, to sit down, just to sit down and da-da-da. But one of the things that I know about you is that that's not even how you get down. So in talking to some of the other educators who are members of our audience, how do you fight them so they do develop curiosity? I mean, not fight them, but fight the system so they do develop the curiosity and say, why am I doing it this way? I need to look at something different.
Because I walk around and tell them, be curious, and I am engaging them with things, on a global level. I talk about what's happening in the world. Any chance I get, if a student is even mildly curious, I'm going to definitely drill into whatever it is. What are we talking about? Let's talk. And if they're not, I'm going to offer up things to say, Baltimore is just an amazing place, but it is just a grain of sand in the world, in the big picture of things. Let's talk about what's happening in, anywhere, 52 countries in Africa. Pick one. Like, what do you want to talk about? What are brown people doing around the world? What does it look like to be a teenager in any place else, in Colorado, or I don't know, New York? Just talking to them about perspective, and that the world is out there waiting for them, and that they need to get ready for their future. So that's what I do. I instill what's happening out there. At least I try. And I keep globes around my room.
One of the things that I can speak on is that I've had the privilege of watching you raise your daughter over the last decade and some change. And she has turned, last two decades.
She'll be 20 in just a few weeks.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So, but I have seen you employ some of those same techniques.
Mm-hmm.
It is, you ask her questions, but not just ask her questions to get her thinking. But you have also been very open to her giving you pushback and not agreeing with you.
Mm-hmm.
My experience, though, and I don't know if you've seen the same thing, that is not necessarily one of the staples in Black households, primarily because of survival need.
Mm-hmm.
I don't need you to question me. If I tell you to go out, like, and I'll speak for myself,
Mm-hmm.
not as a Black woman, because that would be a light different thing. But I remember the boys. It was like, and there's certain things that you can't question me on.
Mm-hmm.
If I tell you to do something in a certain tone of voice, you have to do it because you in that tone of voice or at that time, I need you to move.
Sure.
And so what I have learned is, especially for a lot of women who have to all of the roles to manage all of the family,
mm-hmm.
they don't get an opportunity to choose which lane, because some of them are great disciplinarians, some of them are great nurturers, but very few people are able to do both. And even fewer children are able to understand one person doing the same.
Mm.
And so all that to say, I saw you managing that process. And when you would ask Issa the question, you would be responsive to her feedback. How are you able to manage that? Let me keep her safe and she needs to follow my rule, with that, let me give her the space to question. I don't know if I'm phrasing this right, because I saw you do it and it was amazing. And that's why I want to ask, like, how were you able to balance both of those things?
Well, I think I always instilled in Issa that she had agency, that she was her own person. Would you agree with that, Issa, as you walk by?
Is Issa there?
Yeah. Okay. Look at William, he's waving. But yeah, I've always talked about Issa. She's her own person, you know? And so her opinion matters because it's for her. So, and I think parents that just, that parents in that fear-based sort of way of, you know, you're going to do what I say, they're squashing creativity. They're squashing self-awareness because the child becomes reliant on, well, they know what I'm going to do. Just, you know, because adults know best. So when a child doesn't have agency, that it makes them vulnerable. I heard about a case where a 9-year-old girl literally, just because of an adult just telling her without force, because she was raised to be kind and listen to adults, to not push back with adults. I mean, she allowed him to tie her up in 2 trash bags and she died because she was compliant. I don't want a compliant child. I want a child with agency, to know her worth and her power, and have strength and confidence that she should and can question things that don't sit right.
That is probably one of the statements that's going to come from this, like that part right there, this concept of agency. Because I'll talk about from what I've seen, there are a lot of women, Black women, but women in general, who have been taught this same thing about not having agency. The reality, though, is that it was actually true, but up until 1980, you couldn't get a mortgage by yourself unless there was a man who signed off on it.
Right.
So we're not even talking about, you know, back in the day.
No.
Literally not even my whole lifetime. So that's a very real thing. And so what I've seen is, it looks like a lot of women have been trained that a man's choice in general will make their lives better. So if he chooses me, then I can do this and I can do that. And to a large extent, there was some actual social support for that. Because who would hire? Oh, she's a woman without a man. You can't hire you. And telling you she can't work in your office.
No, she's going to take everyone's man.
But do you see what I'm saying? So, like, and I think that's how this concept of agency that you're teaching flies against this whole,
as it should,
whole thing. But I'm saying that when you have mothers who are still themselves trying to make through that, how do we as a community help these girls and women develop this type of agency? Do you see what I'm saying? Like, their parents aren't with it. Their parents are using fear-based and stuff like that. But we do have an opportunity to interact with them. So how can we help and support them?
Well, as a school counselor, you know, that's exactly what I do. Is my whole job is to advocate for children, advocate for their rights, to support them in their decisions because they have agency. Our slogan for the Association of School Counselors is making better humans. I mean, and it really is. It is that. Let's take a look at the data.
We're not doing so good as a species.
We not. It's a thing. Like self-awareness is a skill, and you'd be surprised how many emotions are there. Did we talk about this last time?
You get it. Share it with the people. Educated myself.
Emotions are there. There are only 7 core emotions. These are conversations that parents should be having with their children before they could even speak, to help them manage their emotions. Because we know as adults, if we can't manage our emotions, nobody gives a fuck. They're going to lock you up and shoot you dead in the street. Hard stop. Okay?
Real talk.
So if you have a child that's struggling with managing their emotions now, it's your job as the people who decided to bring on that task, to bring another whole human being into the world. And I'm sorry if it's inconvenient. I'm sorry that it's hard. I mean, because it is. But it has to be a priority, because these children are in school unwell. They don't understand how to, resolve conflict. They're learning through constant conversations that we're having. But it would be so helpful if mom or dad or whomever is loving up on them would be on the same team, so that we're not constantly battling. While I see my father or my brother or whomever, cuss and fuss and do all of these things and use their hands for hurting instead of helping. And then they come right in school. And how is it wrong when it seems to be right all the time? I have to explain to children that you're not your situation. You're in a situation with people that are doing things that you don't like. And soon, this will not be your life. You have to, and it's terrible to tell kids that are in shitty ass situations that you ain't going to be a kid forever. That's like a whole thing. You're not going to be a kid forever. So why don't you practice on being your best self, so when it's time for you to make moves, you'll be ready. Because whose life is this?
And I think that one of the things that you do that I don't think a lot of, let me rephrase, I have not seen a lot of people do, especially when dealing with kids, is letting them know that this will suck. Like when you take kids to the doctor and just get ready to give them a needle or something, is it going to hurt? No. I want you to say yes. It's going to hurt, but you got to do it anyway.
Absolutely.
Because I think this kind of goes back to this idea of agency. One of the things that we talk about, you and I talked about before, is this concept of lying, and that lies are social constructs that our entire society operates on. Like, how many people have been honest and themselves in their job interviews? When you hear about that, you normally get excited or surprised, because that is so unusual. And so we tell kids and it's just an example, we tell kids on one hand that these are life rules and things they should aspire to, but then our separate examples are antithesis of that. We bring them and tell them they should be kind to other people, and then we talk about other people. We tell them we should be help people, stuff like that, and then we keep our stuff to ourselves. Like, so how do we as parents start the process of healing ourselves so that we can, some of us don't have agency or even understand we do. So how do we help our friends, the other members of the community? And I know this was about you being a Black woman, but I know you well enough that this is actually part of the stuff that you've taken on to do. Like, literally, you chose a career and chose an academic pathway. And let's not get it twisted. I tried to stop you. Real talk. I tried to stop you. Because I was like, we can make money, so much money here, other places. And you was like, I want to help the little brown babies. I was like, why though? Yeah. But why though? But that's what I'm saying. Like, you have made this part of your mission as a Black woman, to be in these spaces and to support these kids. Why the fuck are you doing it? Tell them. I want to know. Because
I love them and they deserve it. I know that I didn't have anybody outside of my family to help me when I was in school, when I was dealing with the things I was dealing with my family. And I think it would have been helpful. I know it would have been helpful to have a trusted adult that was there to tell me that, bad things happen to good people. This is the human experience. Our job is to get through it, because the truth of the matter is the only way you can be resilient is from being knocked down and getting up. Resilience doesn't happen in a vacuum. You just have to realize that I made it through that. I'll make it through this.
One of the things that I've heard you tell kids, and actually I've heard you say it to adults a couple times as well. When things happen, you should like that happened to you. That is not you.
It's not.
It was not your fault. And I have seen those conversations, like the look on the people's face when you said stuff like, "Well, it's not your fault. You didn't do anything. Somebody did this to you," and it's like a hard stop for them. They're like, "Wait, what?" How do you maintain those boundaries? Because it's easy, especially as a Black woman, and especially because of some of the overbearing males in your life over time, it would have been easy for you to fall into that route and that become the story for the rest of your life. You could have been this. Yes, honey.
Yes. Oh, I'm absolutely shaking my head.
Why aren't you? Yes, honey. Right.
Why am I not? Simply because I had a daughter, and it was an opportunity for me to be my best self, to show her how she could be her best self, and that's real talk.
Okay.
Yeah, because I needed more. I couldn't do it. It wasn't enough, and I didn't want it to be enough as a mother. Maybe if I didn't, to be a kept woman and just whatever you say, or sure. That wasn't me as a mother. And so that's the short answer. I need my baby to be better than me. I need her to be smarter than me. I need her to be wiser than me. I need her to want more than me. I want to have more endurance and resilience, all of those things more than me.
One of the I have seen, especially in this show and among my friends, all of you all, what you have done is become what you have been looking for. When you were growing up, the absences and the types of support that you were looking for then, you have literally just become that thing. And so talk a little bit about, like, how does that drive you? What was it deliberate? Was it like, you know what, I'm gonna grow up and I'm gonna make sure somebody else has, or was it just part of you?
I think the evolution of Black women, I think, as a group, have started to realize that nobody's coming. If anybody, we're supposed to be coming. So nobody's coming. So if anything needed to happen, we had to do it. And in my own life, that was a thing. I grew up thinking that someone was going to come and save me, thinking about the indoctrination of Cinderella and all of those things, that a man is going to be right there and sweep me on up, and I don't have to work too hard. I get to be pretty and cook some food. I'm going to be fine. It's going to be great. But it's not like that. So it's a rough patch to transition into nobody's coming, because it's lonely and scary. It is. But I also really found myself there. You know what I mean? Like you said, I became who I needed, and it really is the best time ever. I'm at my best self when understanding that I am who I needed. So any external validation is just, sprinkles on the cake,
Gravy.
Gravy. Right.
Now, one of the things that you do, and I so love talking to you because, like, I know all the information. It's so wonderful. One of the things that you do is that you oh, right, because I forgot, they're cursing a little. Sorry. You don't restrain yourself because you're by yourself. There are some people, some of my friends females, particularly Black women, is like they'll want to go someplace, but if they can't get their girls together, it's like, you know what? We'll just wait till we can all go. Okay. I remember, was it Misha that had to jump on a trip for you to Iceland because you were like, I'm going to Iceland. If you all wish to come with me, you can. Absolutely, it'll be a great time, but I am going. And I've heard a lot of Black women are like, you go by yourself? Oh my God, you went all the way over to by yourself.
Oh, yeah.
Was that your experience, or was everybody just like, oh, go ahead, girl, we good? And you don't know the right Black women.
Oh, I think it's the younger Black women via Instagram. I don't know. I follow some travel influencers or whatever. I feel like a lot of younger Black women are jumping on it. But for me, yeah, my cohort, they're like, oh my God, you would go where by yourself? I love to travel by myself because I'm my best friend. I know exactly what time I'm going to wake up. I know exactly how long I'm going to be in the shower. And I'm curious enough, and I'm secure in maintaining my personal safety that it's exciting. When I turned 50, I indeed did send an email to my friends saying, these are my travel plans. This is the plane. This is the time I'm leaving. And this is where I'm going next. So if you want to, this is the itinerary. I went to Amsterdam, and then I went to Florence, Italy, met a friend there, danced all night, and came right on back to Amsterdam for a few more days, all over the train. It was great. It was great. It's amazing. And yes, Black women will be like, what? And I'm like, I don't know why. I can't speak for those that do not have wanderlust and that are not curious. I can't comprehend how they process things.
Let's actually try to dig into that. So there was you have experienced fear. You have experienced genuine obstacles in your life, and not like, oh, it was uncomfortable, like
no.
like life altering, almost like ending obstacles.
Damn, I'm glad I made it.
Right.
Ooh, that was close.
and so even when some of the trips you've gone on, it didn't go well. How do you still maintain I'm going to try it again, even though I've had the bad things that have happened? You see what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, sure.
Yeah.
I'm resilient. So many things. I am 1,000 for 1,000. There ain't nothing that killed me yet. So what you gonna do? I mean, that's really where I am. I'm just resilient. I mean, it's not too many things that are gonna, keep me down simply because I've made it through everything else that I thought would kill me. So
is a decision?
It's a decision?
It sounds like it's just a decision. It is a decision that I'm going to do what it takes.
This life is for the living. I'll be dead sooner than later, and that's great. But in the meantime, I'm gonna go ahead and rock out with my,
There you go. Wait, is Kaka?
I'm not sure I whispered it.
I don't know if we could say that. Well, the FCC ain't involved, so it doesn't really matter. It's just Donnie's gonna be mad at me and send me an email or something and text message. But
yeah, I mean, this life is for the living, and that's just it. It's for the living. It's to enjoy this human experience as much as you possibly can, because there are lots and lots of people around the world who are not. Right. And so if you have an opportunity to enjoy yourself in hot water and all of the good things, these creature comforts, enjoy it, because you never know. That's the wonderful thing about this thing.
So as we get ready to wrap up and stuff like that, talk to a little bit about some of your biggest successes.
My biggest successes is definitely my daughter. I kept her alive for 18 years.
You're 19 now.
20. She'll be 20.
When is her birthday?
It is March 31st.
I knew that.
Yes.
Yeah, I did. Okay.
Can you believe that? Yeah. So she'll be 20. She is by and far my greatest achievement. It's amazing being a mother to her, and just being how she changed my life so many ways. And I tell her, she knows she's the best thing that ever happened to me. Thank you. What would I do without you? Like, seriously, it's a real thing. But I'm also pretty excited about, getting my master's in school counseling. That was a thing.
You worked hard to get it too, babe. You did a great job.
Yeah, couldn't have done it without you. Yeah, it was a thing. But I was really proud about finishing that, because I do see the impact that I'm having on my students. And I feel, the appreciation. Everybody likes a little appreciation for their hard work. This was a long time coming for me. So, and I feel like I'm purposeful. So even though work wears me out, and these children are something, but they deserve, they deserve a chance, and they deserve somebody that's there rooting for them, or at least giving them some tools to go out into this wild, wild world they're about to go into. So I'm just happy that it's me for right now.
True that. Tell us about one of the largest obstacles that you faced and what you learned from it?
Well, first of all, I like to say that's a great question. And the biggest obstacle, come to find out, is me. that's the biggest obstacle. The competition is in my mind. I mean, and it's me. Anything that held me back, it was because of fear. One of those 7 emotions we talked about, more than likely fear. That's the number one stopper of anything. Fear of I'll be great at it. Fear it'll be terrible. Fear nobody will like it. Fear that it's too hard. Fear that it's too easy. Whatever the fear is, but yeah. So that's the biggest hurdle is me, and I enjoy at this point in my life challenging myself, understanding that I'm starting to see my own patterns, and how I deal with things, and how I evolve through things, even as things that are catastrophic, how long it takes me to process through things and come back on top, mentally. So yeah, it's me. This is the only competition, friend.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. Not that you're your own competition, but that awareness, because it gives you something to work on. Because so long as you believe it's the issue is outside of you, you're going to keep fighting other people and still not making any ground.
No, it's right here.
So what is the biggest issue facing Black women from your perspective right now, and what should we be doing about it?
Black women, I think this women, not just Black women, but I think the assaults on women's rights around the country is a big deal. As a woman that hopes to be a grandmother one day, I think that those things directly affect Black women in general. So those are a big deal for me. Anything that's taking away a woman's agency is something of concern. That's my number one thing. Okay. So protect women. Just whatever comes across your plate. If it's for women's rights, just say yes. Just say yes. If it's
wait. Can I say something real quick?
Yes.
Make sure it wasn't written by a dude.
No, right.
Because sometimes we believe that's how most of y'all ended up in the situation y'all in, because we believe we knew what was good for y'all. And we say, just follow this and we'll take care of you. And we didn't take care of you.
No, ask a woman what you should vote for. How about that? Just whenever you go, just take a woman with you and say, what should I vote for?
On the women's issues, which ones?
Ask a woman.
And actually do that on the Black issues too, if you're not Black. Just ask the people that are affected.
Yes.
One of the things that you do in your professional practice is that with the kids. Mm-hmm. You ask them. The process of asking them questions, of engaging like that is how they develop agency.
There's someone at my door right now.
Oh, you know what? We are at a good time, so we'll just wrap up the interview and you go enjoy yourself, girl.
I was going to answer the question because I wanted to talk about domestic violence as a big issue.
Oh no, then go ahead and answer it and then come back. No, I'll wait.
Okay. Hello? Who's that? Rights, but that's for younger women. I think that should be on everybody's radar. But certainly, domestic violence, domestic violence awareness. Yeah. So if you there's help out there, and again, this is resilience. I've been there, done that. I know it's hard, but you can do it. So hands are for helping, not hurting.
I appreciate that, and I think that is a great place to end the episode on. If you are dealing with issues of domestic violence, reach out to us. We'll help direct you to wherever you need to be.
Yeah, you're not alone.
All right, baby. I love you. I will see you soon.
I hope so. Mwah.
Mwah. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, what did we do? We got to the end of another show. We're at the end. We had a wonderful time talking about being a Black woman, student agency, woman agency with my best friend, Michele Holcombe. I am grateful to you all for being here with me. And like we always are, we'll be Black tomorrow.